Hey guys, DanHeilman here. We're back with another Awaken Chaos Era video. Today, I'm going to go through and I'm going to rate every single legendary. I'm going to give you my opinion on the legendary and where I think you can or should use each legendary. Alright, I'm going to try to go through very quickly. I don't want to spend a lot of time on anyone's kits or anything like that, but yeah, let's begin. So I'm just going to go into the index. If you don't know, there's a search function. It's really useful. You can search all sorts of stuff. I'm going to go in here and just hit legendary. I'm going to hit search and we're going to go through them all. Okay. Evelyn First Dawn. She's highly regarded as a very good unit. She is one of the better LD legendaries. She doesn't have a lot of uses in dungeons. I personally just use her to showcase units for getting the extra turn. She is really known for this. If you do happen to have a fully ascended one, she is quite good with attack up and defense up. She's good in PvP. You can use her in Gemini Dragon, but not a lot of dungeons. One of the better LD units. Alright, Crazed Urzag. I don't have any experience with this unit. I do not have him. I only have a couple of the LD units. He hits a lot. I think he's good in a stun set. Not quite sure where he's used. I think people do use him in Arena and some other stuff. Let me know where you use him. I don't have a lot of experience with him. Niklaus. Kind of one of the worst LD legendaries in the game. He can be used in Arena. He has this thing where basically makes him the fastest unit on your team, so you don't need to build him with speed. He also has basically this thing that gives attack to all your team members. Not a very good unit. If you're going to use him, it's probably going to be in PvP. Not sure where else you'd use him. Urian. He is an awesome LD unit, probably one of the best in the entire game. He has a big AoE hit. And he also has precision because he's an LD unit, and that's just what they have. And he also has this thing where he gets elemental advantage triggered once per round. Very good as an arena offense nuker. I would love to have this unit, but I do not. Brand the Brilliant. Another LD unit. He is okay in some content. He excels in like Mythic Tower, if you can ever get there. Other than that, he really isn't used in other game modes. You could use him in like some of the dungeons. He has an AoE that deals damage based on the target's max health. So that's good for bosses, and that's why he's good in Void Tower Mythic, because they have a lot of health. Okay, Dark units. Dark Nick. I have Dark Nick. Interesting kit. He has an unkillable. He actually hits quite hard. He does a bunch of stuff and does this big AoE. He like can change his skill right here into other skills. Good for PvP. I use him on my arena defense. You can use him as a nuker in arena as well. Again, mostly used in arena. I don't know where you would use him in dungeons, but he does hit quite hard. As you can see, he has a very high base attack. So cool for PvP, but not really that useful. Abaddon. He is the very first LD legendary I ever pulled. I loved him. I built him up. He was good for a while, really good in Guild Boss. He had this working for him, even though he wasn't ascended, only for the ultimate, and his ultimate could hit for like 60,000. That's no longer the case. I don't know where you'd use him anymore. I think you can use him in Guild Boss. I only need one more copy to get to A2 and get this upgraded Ascension, so I'll test him out then, but right now, he sits on my bench and I do not use him. Imogen. She is a decent damage dealer. She is one of the better LD legendaries. Out of all the legendaries, Urian and Imogen and Crazed Urzag are probably the three best. Evelyn First Dawn right behind. So these three are the best. She's a decent damage dealer. She has multiple hits. I don't really know how her kit works. I do not have her, don't have experience with her, but I know people use her in arena, and some people can even use her in dungeons as a damage dealer. Pretty cool unit. I wouldn't mind pulling her. Corrupt Orak. One of the coolest units in the game, just totally broken. Just a ridiculous amount of health and defense. You can put him in a stun set, and he does this big AoE at the beginning of the turn that can stun and stuff. He is just terrible to fight against in PvP. You can even use him in some PvE content, in like the tower and stuff like that, just because he's so tanky. And if you build him with very high health, he has a very high base health, and a very high defense, honestly. You can build him with some ridiculous stats. He's pretty good, so I would love to have him. He's probably my most wanted unit honestly, Urian and Corrupt Aurak are probably my most wanted units out of everyone in the game. Okay, let's move on to wood. Avera, very good damage dealer. She can be built in an Avarice set or a Cursed set. She can be used in Mythic, in Tower, in PvP. She is considered one of the best damage dealers in the game. She has this big AoE that she can also proc with this proc here. She can also place decreased defense. She's not really known to be good in dungeons. I wouldn't be using her in a lot of dungeons, but she's good in almost everywhere else in the game. Goobag doesn't really have a place. He had a PvP arena meta for a little bit, going fast and just putting stun and, you know, hitting people. You can build him an Avarice set or all speed sets. Maybe once you get him to A5, you could do some cool stuff with him, but he's not really used anywhere. Savannah. Green damage dealer. She has kind of a weird kit where she starts with cooldowns and you have to reduce the cooldowns. She hits really hard, but isn't really used anywhere. You can use her in Guild Boss. I think that's one of the most common places she's used, but that's about it. Yolanda used to be the meme of the game, the worst legendary in the game. They buffed her. Now she gets an extra turn on one of her right here, grants a bonus turn, and she's a little bit better. People are using her now in Queen of Tides and some other places. So she's definitely a good support unit, has some shields, and gives a bonus turn and removes some negative effects. So decent support unit now. After her rework, she's a lot better and she sees a lot more use now. Gangello. Everyone knows Gangello. He is considered to be the best legendary in the game. He enables a lot of content with poisons. He basically is required for Gemini Dragon, but everywhere else you can get away from using him. Great unit. He was actually one of my first legendaries, and I'm super happy I pulled him and really skyrocketed my clears in Queen of Tides. Yeah, Queen of Tides was really easy once you get him. Mai the Asia, one of the rookie summon ladies. She's the only resurrector in the game. She can revive everyone on a cooldown of only 4 turns. She's a good healer. Yeah, you can use her in Queen of Tides. You can use her in a lot of content. You can use her in tower content. You can use her in mythic adventure content. As far as dungeons, it's probably only, you could maybe use her in Tulpa. You could definitely use her in Queen of Tides. I don't know that you'd use her really anywhere else in the dungeons. You could maybe use her in Witch of the Wind, but very good healer, very good support unit, high base stats, health and defense, so pretty easy to keep alive. Yeah, that's that. Desmond used to be definitely one of the worst in the game, but recently he got a rework at one point. He has a plague thing that's kind of like poisons, but it's based on their current HP. So in the beginning it hits harder and then ramps down a little bit, but he can put a lot of stacks on it. I've seen him used for Queen of Tides. I've seen him used for Witch of the Wind. I don't know where else you can use him. I think he's also good in Tower because again, it's based on HP. So the enemies have a lot of HP. Decent unit. Bulin, the brand new legendary. She doesn't really have a place as far as dungeons goes. You could maybe make her work in Queen of Tides with green damage dealers. She's basically all based on this induction ability that allows her to basically deal damage every time that unit gets hit. So if you have a lot of units on your team who takes a lot of turns or a lot of hits, this will be a great mechanic. She's still kind of working into the meta. I don't know where she's going to end up being meta, but kind of cool. Just a totally different unit. You know, you can see all of these different things she does with charges and shields and induction and everything. She has decent attack, and if you build her with attack, you know, this induction will proc and she'll deal damage. So, pretty cool. Godfrey. Probably one of the worst legendaries in the game, unless you're really deep in arena. They had the 300% summon event for him. I got a bunch of legendaries, but did not get Godfrey. Some places in the game, they say it's Godfrey, some it's Godfairy, but anyways, he's really good in PvP, like defense. He's basically known for this ability that puts everyone's skills on cooldown, wherever it is. Yeah, right here. So once he's fully ascended, 100% chance of extending the cooldown of the target's ultimate. So he's very good in arena, but other places he really has no use in dungeons or any other content really. Hector. Hector's really good for Tulpa. He's good for Guild Boss. He has kind of some weird AI, but other than that, he's pretty cool. He does put damage up on himself and does some decent damage. He also puts up this increased damage taken buff, which is pretty useful. Mostly Tulpa and Guild Boss is where he's used, but he can be used in other places as well. He's just a fire damage dealer. Brand. He was one of our Battle Pass units. He's a good support unit. This ability is really good. Basically removes an effect, increase defense, the big version, and increase attack, the big version. He also puts the shield up, so you build him high HP. He has good stats. Used a lot in Arena, in the tank meta, even on offense because of this ability here. You can use him in Ash Magisteria. You can use him in Tulpa. You can use him in Guild Boss. You can use him in Mythic Tower. I'm sorry, not Mythic Tower. Any of the towers, Hard Tower, etc. So pretty good unit. One of the better legendaries, that's for sure. Belberith. A slow unit. He has a ridiculously low base speed. He actually has one of the hardest hitting ultimates in the entire game. A lot of people probably sleep on this unit. I eventually will build mine and test him out, but in closed beta test, I tested him and he had the hardest hitting ultimate in the entire game. So pretty cool unit. You'd use him probably Tulpa, Guild Boss. You can definitely use him in Arena. He's kind of annoying because he can have this resurrect. So if he kills anyone, he resets it so he can constantly resurrect. Kind of a cool unit, but the problem is him being so damn slow. He's so slow, so he's hard to build. He's always going last. If he just had a little bit more speed, like if he had like a B or A speed, I feel like he would be a pretty good unit and he'd be a lot more used. They actually even buffed his A2 recently, and he's still never used. I don't see anyone use him, but he does hit pretty hard. Valeria. She's one of the only units in the game that has multiple AoE hits. She's got 2 AoE hits. She's very good for Tulpa. She's good for PvP. She's good for Tower and other things. She has a decently high attack. And yeah, she hurts herself a little bit on this, but then she heals on this ability, so it kind of cancels out. She is one of the units I would definitely build in an Avarice set because she has 2 AoEs. Kind of cool unit. I have 2 copies of her, and I am going to build her very soon. Gorel, we had this really cool summon event that everyone really loved. Basically, if you got 2 legendaries, you got Geralt guaranteed. And he has decently high attack and has a pretty cool kit. If you get him A5, which is kind of annoying that he's A5 when, you know, there's only a couple units that are A5. I wish they would just keep it at A2, but anyways. He gains a bonus turn and does some cool stuff. He does some damage based on his health. So you can build him a little bit of health, but you want to build him mostly damage. He's really good in Arena. He's really good in Tulpa. He's really good in Guild Boss. You can probably use him in Tower and Mythic Adventure and all that stuff as well. Fire damage dealer. He's mostly single target, but he gets some extra turns and extra hits and stuff. He also has lifesteal, which is pretty cool. Actually a pretty cool unit. I have 3 copies of him and we'll probably build him again. There's so many people on my needs to build list. Yeah. Cyrus, always been one of my favorite legendaries. She doesn't hit extremely hard, even with her buff, but she has some cool stuff in her kit. Every time she hits, she gets to hit an extra enemy. So by the, a couple turns, she's hitting basically AoE. She has this A2 that gives her ability immune, which makes her quite tanky. I really like her for Tower because she can take some hits because of this. She's decent in Arena. She has a very high base speed. The reason this is really cool is because basically it allows her to not have any speed in her build. You can go all attack. Her attack is a little bit low, but she buffs her own attack with her ultimate, and she gets it for 2 turns. So she uses her ultimate first, buffs her attack, and then gets some other attacks. She hits pretty hard. She's great in Tulpa, Arena. You can use her in Guild Boss. You can use her in Tower, as I said earlier, because of this ability immune that makes her quite good in Tower. Okay, Zitlin. I do not have Zitlin. I really want Zitlin. Zitlin enables, kind of like Gangano, Zitlin enables some cool comps. Really good in Tulpa and Guild Boss. You basically put up this curse and it doubles the damage that they take during the curse. At the end, it just does all that damage over again, so it doubles the damage. Very cool. There's even some strats for Ash Magisteria and some other stuff like that. Basically going to be really good for bosses. Probably won't see any use anywhere else outside of bosses. You could maybe use in, what are they called? Not Dispatch, the other one. whatever the hell that's called. Bounties. I haven't done bounties in years, so I forget what they're called. Okay, Hydricia. She is the current battle pass. In closed beta test, she was one of the best units in the game. Her speed is unfortunately slow. Legendaries do not have good stats in this game. I don't know why they build them super slow, but basically they gimp all the legendaries by putting their speed really slow, and most of the epics are, you know, higher speed. I don't know why they do that, but anyways, she has this thing where basically the more units she hits, this was just changed. The more units she hits, the more chance she has to do this AoE proc. The AoE proc is kind of annoying because she'll do an AoE and then you can counterattack off that AoE or proc whatever, and then her proc, you can proc off that again. So it's kind of annoying that they do it that way. She should just do her AoE and the proc and shouldn't be allowed, like, if you're fighting Light Zac, for example, he can get multiple turns every time this procs, and it's really annoying. She does have 2 AoEs, so she's very good for an Avarice set. I do quite like her. You can use her in Ash Magisteria. You can use her in, like, Mythic content. I use her in Tower. I built her pretty quick and put her in Avarice set, and she hits decently hard, so. All right, Tia. She is one of the good CC units in the game. She does require A5 to upgrade her ability, which is kind of annoying again. She has Frostbite, which basically slows down. You can see reduced speed, and pretty cool. She can actually hit quite hard because she has S level attack. I built mine in a stun set just for fun with high damage. You can use her in Tower. You can use her in Witch of the Wind. She is known to reduce the speed of Witch of the Wind. I don't know that that's as crucial as anymore because they just changed Witch of the Wind to not deal extra damage on speed, I think. So yeah, good in PvP as well, good in Tower, good in stuff like that. In Mythic Adventure, she'd be really good as well. Basically known for CC, but she does hit quite hard with the S attack. Not going to hit as hard as other people, but for a CC unit, she hits pretty hard. Lydia, she has this dodge effect that no other one has. She's one of the only people with dodge, and they just redid her Ascension, so it's lifesteal. Unfortunately, she's A5 again. So when a legendary is A5, they're kind of useless until you can get to A5, because most of the time, the Ascension is pretty huge. 20% lifesteal is quite big for her. Yeah, she can be used in Guild Boss, actually. I've seen a lot of people using her in Guild Boss, and she can do a lot of damage. She basically has this, like, counterattack ability that ignores defense whenever she dodges, so that's pretty cool. And she puts accuracy down, which is pretty useful, and has a decently hitting AoE. Also, damage ignores 50% of defense. She can hit pretty hard. She could probably be used in PvP, but you don't see her used very often. The only thing I do see her used often in is Guild Boss, but she's pretty tanky. You could probably use her in Mythic or Hard Tower or whatever. So, yeah, cool unit. I have 2 copies of her. If I had 6 copies of her for the A5, then I would probably build her. Blackhorn, considered to be the best healer in the game, has very high health. His healing is based on health, and every time he hits, he heals for his health. You can see here, based on this character's max health. So you want to build him a lot of health, and his AoE heals for a lot. And he also has this totem, which is so good. It heals at the end of the turn and removes a negative effect every turn. Quite insane. The totem can die from taking AoE damage, but he is used in a lot of content. One of the better legendaries in the game. Definitely one of the best healers in the game. Ciara. She has this, she's basically known for this passive. Whenever an enemy goes below 50%, she does a big AoE. You can build her in an Avarice set, or you can build her in a Cursed set if you're trying to do boss damage. But you want to build her fast so that she can land this increased damage taken if you build her in a Cursed set. Otherwise, build her in an Avarice, and she'll do really good burst damage. She only has a single target ultimate, but this proc is AoE and hits very hard. She has a decent attack. Great unit, can be used in Ash Magisteria, can be used in basically a lot of the other content, you know, Tower and Mythic Adventure, etc. As far as dungeons, it's probably only Ash Magisteria, but she does do very well there if she's built well. Mulhex doesn't really have a place in the game, has high health and decent attack. He's a damage dealer, he can place defense down, can be usable maybe in Ash Magisteria and some, you know, Mythic Adventure or whatever. Not known to be that great of a unit. He's not really rated that highly. I do not have Mulhex, so I can't test him. Okay, That's it. That's all the legendaries in the game. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I just wanted to go through quickly what I think of all the units, and basically where they can be used. So if you did enjoy the video, go down there, hit that like button, and sub to the channel if you're not already. And have a great day, everyone. See you guys.